Shots 1 through 5, clearly missed. Shots 6 through 9, missed due to recoil. Bad spray control. Shots 10 to 11, very close, but recoil inaccuracy makes these reasonable misses. Shot 12 likely didn't actually fire because he was already dead. If you're part of any FPS community, you've likely seen this in comment sections, Reddit threads, Twitch chat, or even in the game chat of your match. A quote so good and so playable, it has transcended the Counter-Strike community in which it began and earned the legendary role of becoming a copypasta. Over the 25 plus years that Counter-Strike has been out, numerous copypastas have become staples in the community and across the internet. But where did they begin? What do they mean? And does anyone actually care? Well, we're about to find out. This is Counter-Strike Copypastas Explained. This first one dates all the way back to 2016. You see that last line always quoted as likely didn't fire because he was already dead? Well, the original he was actually Hiko. At the time, Hiko was a professional Counter-Strike player for Team Liquid. He was widely considered one of the best North American players with godlike aim and great clutching.
He smokes.
Yeah, lots of spraying there with those A1Ss, both Shazam and Rix. Now spraying again. Shazam almost finds one. Elysian and Fugly are very low despite none of these terrorists being seen. Where are the nades at? There aren't any for Sponsorless. They didn't have enough money or they've already used them. There's one Molotov going in now. The kills start to trickle in for Sponsorless on that CT side. It will once again just be Hiko. Is he about to pull off the Alamo? He's got 3 from behind quad. Can he find a 4th? He gets the 4th! He's on for the ace and he gets it!
But one day, during one of his streams when he was playing Rank S, which is high-level North American pugs, all was well, until disaster.
My smoke didn't put the molly out.
What? He's on site. Clearly he's dead. What the
Chat, that right there, that's why I want a replay function. So I want to see how that didn't. Yo, somebody clip that. Clip what just happened right there, and post it in chat right now before the delay goes away. I want to see that again.
Now, Hiko was rightfully a bit confused, considering his AK-47 was basically inside the head of his opponent, and factoring Hiko's skill at the game and the thousands of hours he'd put into it, it was easy for him and viewers of the stream to see this as a game bug, as opposed to him just missing. Despite the fact that current CS2 players will tell you that CSGO was perfect, at the time this was so common it even had a colloquial name in the community called getting CSGO'd. CSGO'd, the act of shooting someone while playing Counter-Strike Global Offensive only to find that the shot went either through the player or disappeared because Valve is too busy creating new gambling addicts instead of fixing their hit registration issues. Warning, getting CSGO'd usually results in dying, which results in a wide range of emotion that includes, but is not limited to, rage, confusion, frustration, and suicidal thoughts. This sparked a viewer of Hiko to head to the Global Offensive subreddit and create a post aptly named Hiko Gets CSGO'd. Attached were 2 clips, the clip I've just shown you, and another clip with Hiko watching it over, which unfortunately has since been deleted, but I imagine it looked something like this.
Okay, it's literally directly on him. I've shot 12 bullets now directly on him. Okay, nice.
Now, Valve are infamous for being pretty quiet when it comes to the CS community, rarely updating the game, never mind communicating with the community. Which made it all the more shocking when Valve Ryan, a Valve employee, posted a response to the Redditor. First, a short and simple line. Hiko missed his spray. Followed by an image library showing frame analysis of each bullet and why, in his opinion, Hiko missed. All good so far. But beneath that image thread, he decided to summarise the image library for those who were too lazy to look themselves. And this is where the iconic Copypasta was born. But what made it stick? And why did it spread faster than a certain STD in 1981? Well, if you read the Reddit thread it originated from, you'll see a lot of community members happy with this response from Valve Ryan. But the truth of it was that this response really was just a drop in the bucket compared to an ocean of CSGO clips at the time. So while this Reddit thread was mostly positive, the rest of the community saw the response as somewhat of a joke. And considering Valve's lack of responses to all these other clips, this became the standard response to anyone who posted a clip of them potentially being CSGO'd. You see, when you have millions of people playing your game daily, and you're just a small indie company, it's likely that while on Valve's end the spaghetti code that was CSGO appeared to be working correctly, the player's experience said otherwise. A situation that actually parallels today in CS2 with Subtick, where Valve seems somewhat content that Subtick issues are mostly problems with user internet, while the community, with little technological know-how, can't quite pinpoint why the game feels off, leaving us in a bit of a stalemate. Back to 2016 though, and it seemed like Valve were paying attention. In September of 2016, about a month after Hiko getting CSGO released on YouTube, Valve released a beta branch with improved animations and hit registration. Now whether or not this was a direct result of this clip, or merely accelerated by this copypasta, I think it would be hard to claim that the community memes and pressure generated by this pasta didn't do anything. But regardless of this update, by the time the improvements came, this copypasta had already become a staple, spreading to other communities, bringing us to where we are today, where even in 2025, if you see a clip of someone missing a close kill, you can almost guarantee someone in the comments will be posting this iconic pasta. Look at this guy. Does he look masculine? Does he look like a good CS player? Do you think you could talk shit about him? Well, you couldn't. And personally, I think it's hilarious you kids talking shit about Semphis. You wouldn't say this shit to him at LAN. He's jacked. Not only that, but he wears the freshest clothes, eats at the chillest restaurants, and hangs out with the hottest dudes. Y'all are pathetic, lol. No, I didn't just have a mental breakdown mid-video. This is another copypasta, and it's a little less widely used, but you can still see it all over Counter-Strike communities and other places that you wouldn't expect. And if you hadn't guessed it, it's about Semphis, another legendary ex-Counter-Strike pro from North America, active from 2009 all the way to 2021 as a player, before transitioning to a coach. It originated on the website HLTV. Now, in my opinion, HLTV is the best utility in Counter-Strike, and maybe all of esports. It allows you to follow games, track player stats, read news articles, etc. But it also has a dark secret. It's home to a little part of hell right here on Earth, the HLTV forums. Now, discussions on here are meant to be CS related, but realistically you'll find everything from political opinions to trolling. It's somewhere between Reddit and 4chan. Let's just say it has a less than favourable reputation when it comes to takes on pretty much any subject. Well, that's a topic for another day. Now, the time when this first appeared has been lost to time. The oldest I can find on HLTV is from the 10th of October 2016, but judging by the few responses to this comment, I'm pretty certain that this isn't the actual original post. But also while researching, I found this Reddit user who posted an original link to what he claims is the real source, which unfortunately now 404s. But even in response to this post, another user claimed that this isn't the original source, and it was around even before that, so unfortunately I can't provide you with an actual date. Interestingly though, while this user posted what he thinks is the original source, he also posted a reference to a Jake and Amir skit from 2013 with this clip.
I'm serious, dude. I eat at the chillest restaurants, hang out with the hottest guys, and yet I don't have swag. You know why? 'Cause of my frickin' Junos and my two beady Jew eyes.
Now, this gets even more interesting when I read the top comment chain on this YouTube video. It says, Amir also never says he wears the best clothes, but Jake mentioned it anyway.
I'm serious, dude. I eat at the chillest restaurants, hang out with the hottest guys.
You don't wear the best clothes, by the way.
He's essentially saying that even though initially Amir doesn't say he wears the best clothes, when Jake is replying, he responds as if he did say this. Now, if you'll remember back to the copypasta, this sounds all too familiar. And the copypasta even includes a line about wearing the freshest clothes. So in my mind, this leaves two options. Either, number one, Jake and Samir were inspired by the copypasta. This would mean that when writing the script, both of them would mention the freshest clothes, but that due to an editing mistake or misreading of the script, Amir left out the part about the freshest clothes while Jake still read it, causing a continuity error. This would date the copypasta at pre-2013. Or, option two, the HLTV poster was inspired by this skit, and when writing it either decided to merge it all together, or simply misremembered it. This would date it somewhere between 2013 and 2016. To further complicate this, another interesting thing about Semphis is that he went through somewhat of a crazy weight transformation. This was posted in 2014, showing the beginning of his transformation, and then this in 2016, leaving once again two possibilities. Either the pasta came around because of Semphis' weight transformation in the middle of his process and getting jacked, or the funnier option, which I'm going to choose to believe, is that this random HLTV poster calling Semphis jack flipped a switch in his head and he decided to live his life by the words of the copypasta. Either way, considering this is Semphis now, it's safe to say this copypasta has only become more and more true. It's a real shame that the initial context of this copypasta has been lost. If anyone could spread more light on the timeline of this copypasta, please let me know in the comments below. I did try reaching out to Semphis on Twitter, but understandably, he probably has much more important things to be doing than responding to a random Twitter DM. Today, this copypasta is used all over the internet. If your favourite player's been called out, whack this bad boy in for some easy laughs. It's even transcended gaming, and honestly at this point, if anyone ever talks shit about anyone for anything, it seems like a pretty valid response. When you think of the great minds of history, who do you think of? Socrates? Albert Einstein? Oppenheimer? Well, mute those from your mind. We have a clear generational brain who composed this incredible comment.
Zywoo skill player, but that is not normally. This very, very insane. They need to check him PC and game. Maybe him not cheating, but maybe he using the game deficit. And this can't seem on game screen. He needs to check up. Day0's FPL cheats with streaming. I think Day0's still cheating. Zywoo using game deficit on pro scene, on big events. Maybe everyone don't knows him trick. He incredible. I want to ask where is the coming of your skills?
Now this one can only be described as the ramblings of a madman, so allow me to translate it into the best Queen's English I can. Zywoo is a skilled player, but this is not normal. This is incredibly insane. The admins need to check his personal computer and Counter-Strike installation for the presence of cheating software. Maybe there is a chance he isn't cheating, but instead using a game exploit that can't be seen on screen. I think Day0's also cheats, even while streaming Faceit Pro League, but Zywoo is cheating in the pro scene at big events. Perhaps he has a trick that not everyone knows. He's just incredible. I would like to ask him, where are you honing your ability? Now, even if you're part of the CS community, I would forgive you for not knowing who Day0's is. He's not the main part of this Copypasta, so here's a quick backstory. He qualified for FPL around July of 2018, before being disqualified for having 2 previous accounts being banned. When he got unbanned, he continued to play, but never really achieved anything in the scene. Now, onto the GOAT that inspired this post. The baguette man himself, the Woo, Zywoo. Matthew Zywoo Herbal. I have no idea if I'm saying that correctly.
Mathieu Zywoo Herbeau.
Was indeed a very, very insane breakout star in the French scene. We're not just talking about a good player that shows promise, we're talking about a generational talent, never seen before in Counter-Strike and described as a prodigy. As you've just seen, he spent the first few years of his career literally dominating lower level challenger leagues, before at the age of just 17, he was called up to the big leagues, Vitality. If you watch any esports at all, you've probably heard of Vitality, they're huge, but this was their first entrance into Counter-Strike, forming a roster of French legends, Apex and NBK from G2, the original beta, Happy, Le Tank, RPK, and adding the GOAT himself. The community didn't really expect this, and no one knew how the team was going to perform, and even if Zywoo could maintain his insane form against the top competition, but to put it simply, he did. But the rest of the team wasn't quite there yet, having some mixed results, so going into 2019, the team made a change, getting rid of the beta in favour of a in Alex. But yet again, they had mixed results at the start of the year, bombing out in 9th to 11th place in one of the biggest tournaments in the calendar, i.e. Katowice. Zywoo only posting a 1.14 rating. I say only, it's still an impressive rating, but it wasn't quite the prodigal stuff people had come to expect. Then there was a few small tournaments, and then time for CS Summit, a laid-back tournament, but don't be mistaken, it still had some of the absolute top competition, considered an S-tier event. And it's safe to say the Woo was back. He absolutely slaughtered the competition to bring home Vitality's first major trophy in Counter-Strike. Now, when you watch the games, it seemed like Zywoo was almost inhuman with his skills. So when HLTV released this article and proclaimed that Zywoo was the MVP of the tournament, this wasn't a shock to most who'd been following his career, but it was to one man, the HLTV user, Tunny, who decided to use his pattern-seeking monkey brain to think, if most players aren't as good as Zywoo, and Zywoo is as good as Zywoo, then Zywoo must cheat. Then wanting to share that thought by following it up with this masterpiece of a comment. Quickly after posting, people in the comments took note of the absolutely incredible English skills required to convey a point this well, with the user Izza stating that this comment should become a copypasta. And just like that, it spread like wildfire across HLTV and Reddit, becoming a staple in the scene. But was Zywoo cheating? No. Of course he wasn't, and Tony didn't know it at the time, but he'd go on to be considered one of the greatest, if not the greatest of all time, winning 22 MVPs to date, and many trophies to go alongside it. But even with this knowledge, the pasta is still used not only whenever Zywoo has a lights out performance, but simply replace the name, and it's applicable to anyone. Truly high effort posting. And that's it for today. That question I asked at the start of the video, does anyone care? Well, I'm hoping that if you made it this far, you do, but you can show me even more by leaving a like and a comment, and even subscribing. Obviously, there's loads of copypastas I missed in this, so I'd be happy to make a second one if there's enough demand. Thanks for watching, see you later.